All right, we got to get this Josh Allen topic in before we bring Brian Hoyer onto the show. It's brought to us by A Home for the Holidays. Give big this year with the Home for the Holidays raffle. You have a chance to win a beautiful new custom home or a cash prize and help make wishes come true for Make-A-Wish kids with critical illnesses. Raffle proceeds benefit Make-A-Wish OKI, which has granted over 22,000 wishes to children facing critical illnesses across Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana since 1983. This year's house is a custom-built ranch by Petros Homes with 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, and a 3-car garage. One lucky winner will be announced on December 24th, so get your $100 ticket now. Just visit homefortheholidays.org to buy your tickets. That's homefortheholidays.org. Terms and conditions apply. On Monday's show, Jay, you said if Josh Allen was the quarterback of the Browns, they still wouldn't be a playoff team.
Oh, man.
Said maybe a win or two more, but would not be a playoff team. Bull took offense to that.
We've had this conversation before.
So, yeah. Bull.
So first of all, I said, in my mind, the worst the Browns would be right now would be 7-7. At worst. They would be 7-7.
Wow. Well, we're going to have a lot more agreement on this than you thought.
Well, that's the worst they would be.
That's where I have them.
Well, I thought you said they would only have 2 more wins. Mike said you said you.
No. I said they're not a playoff team.
Okay.
And by the way, at 7-7, you're not a playoff team.
I'm saying that would be the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
I think they probably have more than 7 wins. So I asked my guy Cleve TA, who has his own analytics website.
He's good too, by the way.
And shoot, I should have written it down, the name of the website. Of course, I don't have it right in front of me right now. But
well, just follow him on
Twitter. I want to give him a plug. And I said, okay, can you run a simulation with Josh Allen as the Browns quarterback? Mm-hmm. And he said, I can do that. I said, all right. So he got back to me, and he said, okay, not only did I run a simulation with Josh Allen as quarterback, he's very connected in the gambling world. Yeah. He said, I spoke to a bunch of top handicappers, mm-hmm. and I asked them what their opinion was.
Right.
And he said the average opinion from the handicappers ended up being the exact same number he had in his projections, which was the Browns would be 9-5 right now.
That's a joke. Yeah, that's a joke.
So you're saying the computers
here's what
and
I'm
the
saying.
top handicappers are wrong?
Oh, handicappers are wrong all the time.
Okay, but what's more likely, that you're wrong or that the computers and the top handicappers are wrong?
Ask the top handicappers.
I don't know.
Well, no, ask the top handicappers.
Yeah. What do you mean?
So here's what I'll do.
Yeah.
I'm going to read to you the margin of defeat for the Browns this year.
Right.
How much is a quarterback worth?
In fact, probably 10 points.
Okay.
Maybe.
So then listen to this. They have losses this season: 24, 24, 19, 18, 14, 28. That's 6.
Right.
He's not going to win those 6 games.
Well, they would have gone totally differently if he was the quarterback.
Well, you're saying 10 points. That's why I wanted a number.
Right.
So,
but other
and that's fair too, by the way.
But other parts of the team would, maybe not special teams, but the defense, which has been, until the last 2 weeks, has been really good, would have been even better if you had a good quarterback.
But I like, the reason I wanted to start this discussion by asking that question is because, so I tend to think, now obviously, he's not going to be worth 10 points to the Rams, right?
Over Jared Goff? No, he wouldn't be 10 to the Rams.
So what you're really doing is, it's kind of a wins over replacement number, don't you think?
To some degree, yes.
But in this case, it would be actually points over replacement. And to be more specific, it's not just, because wins above replacement are of the average player. We haven't had average quarterback play. We've had below average quarterback play.
Yes.
So when I came at this, I said, what would a quarterback be worth? Like, with the same pieces.
Yeah.
Now, also, by the way, you lose one of the best running backs in the NFL. You lose him.
Right.
Okay? James Cook is a big, huge offensive piece.
Okay.
He's got close to 1,500 yards this year,
right.
12 touchdowns. Like, he's a weapon.
You have
in the NFL
significantly better defense.
Second.
You have a significantly better defense.
And you have a significantly better running back.
I don't agree with that, but okay.
Well, he's got twice the yards.
He's got a better running. Well,
now remember,
go strict by yards. They have a much better offensive line.
And that is my point.
They have average at best receivers. The Browns have bad receivers.
Our receivers are worse than Buffalo's, to be sure.
If you just look at this year, obviously Jerry Jeudy's worse. Over the span of their career, Jerry Jeudy's better than any receiver on the Bills, career-wise.
I wouldn't say that, but you can.
Okay, but it's true.
Well,
objectively.
I just look, because for me, I just look at the most recent sample size. He's been awful. He's been one of the worst wide receivers in the NFL.
So that means Baker Mayfield's the worst quarterback in football right now.
For the last 6 weeks?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, fair.
I agree with that.
All right.
But for the year, no. And I'm not judging
for
Jerry
the year,
Jeudy.
He's still in the bottom half.
I'm judging Jerry Jeudy by what he's done.
Right, but if he was playing with a better quarterback, don't you think he'd be better?
Of course he would.
Yeah.
Everybody on the offense would. But the offensive line that's what they are.
No.
That's the point of attack.
Well, but the offensive
so you think
line,
they're going to say, hey, Josh is back there. We got to block better?
With the offensive line, outside of the last 2 weeks when they've really gotten injuries,
yeah.
The rest of the season, their offensive line wasn't.
Offensive line has been horrible.
Not worse than the league, man.
No, our offensive line has been horrible.
If you go check out the PFF numbers,
I don't look at PFF.
Well, okay. Well, go look at you. Just watch the tape. Cleveland Browns offensive line, and when it comes to the run game, has been the run game grades.
Run game
worse.
Yeah.
Worse.
But not in the passing game.
But the pass.
Here's what we learned about the passing game.
Yeah.
They're only sending 4.
All right. The Browns have
because everybody else in the league
the Browns
has figured out
are
they're the worst
miles better
offensive line.
defensively than the Bills.
Yes.
They're just as good at tight end.
Well, here's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
I'm just going to cut to the chase because we can get down rabbit holes.
Plus, the Browns played a much easier schedule than the Bills do.
We can go down rabbit holes all day long. I'm just going to keep this.
What I'm saying is a rabbit hole while you're saying it's not a rabbit hole?
Well, I asked you a question.
Okay.
You said 10 points.
10 points, yes.
I'm going to give you 10 points.
Yes.
So, if with 10 points,
Yeah.
you're still got 6 losses in there. In fact, Bull,
Yeah.
they have 5 losses by 3 scores or more.
You're disregarding what I'm saying, that the games would be played differently. Other players would be worth more points, too.
I get that, but
Yeah.
I asked you, what is a quarterback worth? What's his difference? You said 10 points.
Yeah, individually is worth 10 points.
Yeah, because he's making everybody around him better. So I'm giving them 10. So if I give the Browns in their 11 losses, if I give them plus 10, they still have 6 losses. Of their 11.
I understand what you're saying. You're not understanding what I'm saying.
I think I understand what you're saying.
I'm saying that every game would have been played differently. They might not have been down as many points, and so ultimately there might be a touchdown because the Browns defense was put in a certain situation that they wouldn't have been put in.
I'll give you that. I'll concede that point if you concede this point.
Yeah.
Are you going to assume that of all these 6 games, he would have definitively won all 6? Because
what does that mean?
Like, I'm asking you because I said, what's a quarterback worth? You said 10.
Yeah.
I gave you 6 examples where they lost by way more than 10.
Right.
So what I'm saying to you is, I'm not asking the quarterback to be worth 10 points because that's the high end of my scale. I would say between 7 to 10.
Yeah.
You said 10. I'll go with 10. If you make it 13,
right,
they still lose all 6. If you make it 18, they still lose 5. Now, to think that the quarterback is worth 18 points, that's a huge stretch. I'm not sure your buddies in Vegas or any computer will tell you that Josh Allen would be worth 18 points in every game.
Well, the computer did because the computer came up with 9 and 5.
Okay.
I think that's better than you and I giving opinions.
If you like computers, for years, computers picked the winner in college football. They were awful at it.
Are humans good at it?
No. No one
Okay,
is.
so
No, but you're using your argument. I'm using mine. So I'm
Yeah.
just saying, let's just assume on this wild assumption that he's
Yeah.
worth 14 points.
right.
Then would you assume that all 6 of those games would have been wins?
All 6 of what games?
The games that were decided by 28, 24, 24, 19,
Obviously,
18,
they wouldn't
and 14.
have won all those games, but
Okay.
they would have.
How many are you going to give them?
I'm going to give them probably 3 of the games they got blown out in.
Okay,
Even
now-
if I give them 2, Jay, they're still they had how many losses did they have by less than 10? 4?
5 losses by less than 10 points.
Okay, so if they won those 5 games,
Yeah.
and then won 2 of the games they got blown out, now you got 10 wins. Now I'm not even saying 10.
But
Let's ask Brian Hoyer what he thinks.
First of
We
all,
do have
what
Hoyer
you're
in the
doing,
queue.
Bull, is
Yeah.
you're making the assumption, which is why I asked you to start the argument,
Yeah.
what is the starting quarterback worth?
I know that, but
when you say 10, I just have to take these 6 losses, 5
it's
of which
not
were
that
by...
simple though, because I could say Quinshon Judkins is worth a quarter of a point, and Myles Garrett is worth a point. But if he's a better quarterback, all those guys' numbers go up too.
But here's the thing, and
I think you're diminishing every other player on the field.
But the quarterback is worth so much more than anything else.
I agree with that.
But you also have to take in consideration that if Josh Allen is on this football team and they don't have certain pieces and parts, defenses are going to play Josh Allen differently.
Sure.
They're going to have him throwing the ball 40, 50, 60
What
times
pieces
a game.
and parts besides Cook are so good with
None.
Buffalo?
I mean, they're
Nobody.
better than the Browns
We
pieces.
could ask a quarterback.
They're better
Let's ask Brian Hoyer.
They're
Let's
better
ask
than the
Brian
Browns
Hoyer.
pieces, I'll tell you that.